Hi there. Oops. This is Karen Cochrane Hall from Tarabiz, Condado and Client Marketing Solutions. It's that time of the year again here in Tenerife and in Spain. We have to do a tax return on property before the end of this year. And it's amazing that a lot of people fall into the habit of thinking two things: that the non-resident tax, they confuse it with the rates receipt, the contribution tax, as they say in Spain, the EB, or the rates receipt. And that is a completely different thing. There are two taxes that are completely different. One is your rates receipt that you pay every year to the local council. Okay, that's based on a rateable value, and that's paid normally in the southern area. It's paid in May, June each year, and it's paid for the year in course. In other words, 2016 is paid in 2016. And the other tax, the most important thing that I wanted to talk to you about today on my video, was the non-resident tax or residual income tax, that a lot of people make the mistake of thinking that the two things are the same. And that's not the case. Every property owner in Spain has to pay a residual income tax on their property. Whether they rent the property out or not, they still have to pay income tax on it. It's not a huge amount of money. It's based on the rateable value. And it's paid 1 year, normally up to 1 year after the fact. So at the moment, we're doing the returns for a lot of our non-resident clients, property owners here in Tenerife, that for their 2015 return for non-rental. In other words, whether you rent or not, I can't repeat this enough, you still have to pay a tax return. As I said earlier, it's not a huge amount of money, but the fines are coming to be succulent, and it's really not worth your while of not doing it. So I really can't reiterate that enough. Normally at my Facebook Lives, I tend to be all happy and chatty and whatever. And this is quite serious, because there's a lot of people that are starting to get a lot of funny letters from the tax office. They are inspecting, they are going round and checking. And I really don't know how they've taken so much time, because it's an obligatory thing and they can fine you quite heavily. They can go back 4 years. So if you bought, for example, at the moment, before the end of this year, which is a month and a half away, obviously, they can still bill you back to 2011, your taxes that weren't paid from 2011 onwards, plus the fines, plus the surcharges and the interest. So it's really not worth the while taking those risks. If you pay voluntarily, they will charge you interests, but they will not fine you. So I think it's well worth your while to get your house in order. It's very, very important that you realise that it's an obligatory thing, and it's not based on the income that you receive. In other words, a lot of people come to me and they'll say, "But Karen, we don't actually rent the property out. We use it ourselves when we come over to stay or to holiday, or we just let friends and family use it." That doesn't matter to the taxman here in Spain. You still have to pay a tax, a residual income tax. And don't forget that the resident people actually do pay this as well, because every year when the people that reside here and are tax resident in Spain, we do an annual tax return in May to July every year for the previous year. And we have to put our cadastral reference code for every property that we have. We have to put it in our annual personal tax return, and the program's very clever. It actually calculates out the residual income tax for you. So we all pay it. We all have to pay it. And people have this huge idea that, "Oh, I don't rent the property, Karen, so I shouldn't be paying liable for any income tax." No, you do have to pay, just for the joy of having property in Spain. But I repeat, the good news, that's the bad news. The good news is that you don't actually have to pay an awful lot of money. So get yourself sorted. As always, because I'm doing this to inform, but I'm also doing it to capture some lovely new clients. So if you want some straight talking, some professional advice on this matter, please connect with me on kch@taracondado.com. That's TARACO. I'll see if I can get it right. TARACONDADO.com. or send me a private message or leave me a message after this video, and I'll certainly get back to you. It's got to be done before the end of the year to avoid fines, and it's pretty straightforward. We can get you organised. We, as part of the service, we also check, look at your title deeds, just check. Something very important, a gentleman came in yesterday, and he came in from another accountant, and the accountant had only taken into consideration the actual property and had not done a return on the garage spaces that this gentleman had, and that was a big shock to him. So do check that all of your properties, including, for example, a lot of people will have what they call a trastero, or a little storeroom as adjacent to the garage. And not only have you got to pay a tax and do an individual tax return on each of the properties, if they have a cadastral reference or a rates reference, each of the properties you're bound to do a 210 model every single year. So don't forget that. You could be fined if you don't do it. So it's well worth your while getting your house in order. It's pretty straightforward. It's not complicated. And there's a lot of lovely people like me out there, properly qualified accountants, that will help you do that. But if you need our help, certainly contact us. So just to recap, everyone has to pay tax on their property in Spain, whether they rent it out for money or they just have the property. It's called, I would term it, I translate it to be the residual income tax. Everyone has to pay it, whether you're resident or non-resident tax-wise. And it's done in the case of the non-residents up to the 23rd of December of the following year. It's pretty straightforward stuff. It has to be paid every year whilst you have the property. And the other thing is, it's not to be confused with your rates receipt, which again has to be paid to the local council every year. And you also have to do, to bear in mind that you have to do a return, a 210 model, for each and every property and each and every owner. For example, if there's 3 people on the escriture or the title deed, you would have to divide the value of the property and the tax liable in equal ways between the 3 people. That sounds logical, but again, not everyone takes that into consideration. So what I wouldn't recommend is that people try to do this on their own, because, you know, it's like a red flag to the bull. If people are getting away with it because they haven't done the tax returns up until now, and they've got away with it up until now, if you do it on your own and you back up on it, you will obviously it's there in black and white what you've done, and they will fine you. They don't take innocence, they don't accept innocence as an excuse for returning or doing a return in a bad way, making mistakes. They will fine you. And the minimum fine is 250 euros for anything that you make a mistake on, so it's really not worth your while. So folks, have a lovely day, God bless, and I hope that this has been valuable for you as far as non-resident taxes payment are concerned. To finish off, what is the difference between resident or a non-resident, or how would you define resident? And sorry, I'm getting my tongue tied around this. So it's a little while after 25 years at working in this, you think I'd know how to say it. Between tax resident and tax non-resident. The difference is, I always say, the 183 rule. If you reside here in Spain or in any country in the world, 183 days, that is where you should have your tax residence. That's the determining factor as far as tax residency concerned. So get your house in order, as I say, and don't worry about it. It's pretty straightforward to get yourself up to date and to avoid these fines. And be warned and be mindful that they are inspecting, and they've got the data. They've got the data. You're on their computers, so it's just a matter of time that they catch up with you. Okay, so have a great day. God bless, and speak soon. Bye.